Welcome to Focus on Abilities, a program about issues affecting the lives of people with disabilities. You're watching HTV. I'll be your host for the program, and my name is Lex Frieden. I direct the ILRU program at Tier Memorial Hermann and the Southwest ADA Center there. I'm also professor of biomedical informatics at the University of Texas Health Science Center at Houston. Today we have a very interesting guest to meet and talk to on Focus. We'll do that as soon as we get back from this break on the program. Please stay tuned.
The following program is sponsored by ILRU, Southwest ADA Center, promoting compliance with the Americans with Disabilities Act.
This is Focus on Abilities. I'm Lex Frieden. We're talking today with Meridith Silcox. Meridith, welcome to Focus on Abilities.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be here.
So we're going to talk today about your role as an advocate and some of the more important things you're doing for our community. But before we start, your background, what made you interested in disability?
I started working as a direct care support in graduate school, and it just kind of blossomed from there. It's been a long journey with lots of different paths and experiences, and that's led me here to advocacy work.
What field of study were you working in?
I have a graduate degree in psychology with a focus on learning principles and working with individuals with disability and autism.
University of Houston.
Yes, sir. University of Houston.
All right, go Cougars.
Go Cougs.
So, Meridith, you through the years have done a lot of advocacy work. You want to give us some examples of the kinds of things you've done, people you've helped, groups you've worked with?
Absolutely. So, my journey has been from working with individuals in advocacy, both through employment and recreational opportunities for individuals, from working with school districts and ARB meetings and supporting individuals in that way, up through the last 5 years or so. It's blossomed into more policy-focused, systems-focused advocacy work in our community.
And now you are the chairman of the Houston Commission on Disabilities. Before the mayor appointed you to that job, were you serving on the commission?
Yes, sir. I was appointed to the commission in 2021, right after, in the middle of the pandemic. So I was appointed in 21 and then recently appointed as chair of the commission for the city.
So I'm not sure everybody who's watching really knows about the Houston Commission on Disabilities. I had the good fortune of meeting with Mayor Lanier along with a friend, Daryl Simmons, one afternoon after he was elected in the early 1990s. And the disability community had pretty well organized around the mayor's campaign. And the mayor said, what does the community need? And we said, we thought it would be good to have citizens engaged in a role that would affect policy related to people with disabilities, and might he establish a commission on disabilities and an office on disability, and he did so. And the city council warmly adopted his proposal, and since then we've had a commission and an office. They've been very active from time to time, and then sometimes they slow down. And when you came on during COVID, probably wasn't a lot of action.
Correct. It's been quite slow. We are working into reviving the commission and getting more engaged. But we did definitely slow down and kind of stall out during the pandemic, as can be.
Well, part of that must have been from individuals who belonged on the board who were preoccupied by caring for themselves and their families and maintaining their jobs, and maybe without as much time to commit to the volunteer service on the board.
Absolutely, and we weren't meeting in person anymore, so we weren't coming together regularly, and we weren't getting out in the community as regularly as we were before.
So did that characterize your own experience during COVID? Were you personally affected and your family?
Well, I mean, of course, we were all home. I have a daughter who's medically fragile, so we were all very careful and stayed home and really, secluded into our kind of family unit there. And we just weren't getting out and engaging in the community.
If I can ask you, your child, whom you mentioned, would meet the definition of disability. And did you have that child before you decided what you were going to commit to in college, or did that just happen coincidentally?
Absolutely coincidentally. I honestly wasn't quite sure what I was going to do until I was in graduate school. It's a little late to the game on that. But I was in graduate school. I started working as direct care, and I knew immediately that was the work that I was going to do. And I was almost done with graduate school, and we adopted my daughter. She is adopted. Very medically fragile, had a lot of things, a lot of things going on. She had, nurses assigned and those types of things for her care. And then a few years later, she was also diagnosed with autism. So it's been a journey with her and getting her the services that she needs.
So you knew that she was fragile when you adopted her?
Absolutely, yes. We actually brought her home from a medical care facility.
Wow. Mm-hmm. Well, that's really cool. And the fact that you were coincidentally trained in college to be of service and to relate to people with disabilities, and particularly those with fragile conditions, that must have been almost miraculous.
Right. We felt, I felt very fortunate to have the skills that I had to be able to support her, but you can never be completely prepared to be a parent, so you kind of got to roll with it.
Yeah. And how old is she now?
She's 16.
In high school?
She is in high school. We're doing transition services for her and getting her ready for what's going to be for her after high school.
Wow. Has she always been in a integrated school setting?
Yes, she's completely included in all of her classes with support.
See, that's one of the benefits of some of the new laws and the progress that we've made since I grew up as in school, and our children grew up without really all the support that the schools provide now. We had to be really, really powerful advocates in order to get the schools to even begin to do something, provide access, meet special needs, and so on. We were faced with segregated schools, and this was a real challenge. Now I think parents are still faced with challenges, but at least some barriers have been broken down.
Right. It's having the right person on your team, the right people at that ARD table, and the right conversations. It's you still have to know who to ask and what to ask. It's a process.
I want to ask you more about that, but right now I want to take a break.
Sure.
And, we have to answer a question before the end of the show, and I guess my question is going to be, and we'll share that with the audience, what piece of law has affected your family, given you have a child with a disability more than any other? We'll get to that question before the end of the show. And I want you all to think about that. You're watching Focus on Abilities on HTV. We'll be right back after this break.
Ready to spice up your day? Downtown Houston has exactly what you're craving. Swap your weekday dinner for award-winning takeout. Treat yourself to bold, unique flavors or fresh from the oven classics. Drink outside the box, from breweries to cocktail bars. There's always something new to taste when you join us downtown. Visit downtownhouston.org to find restaurants and bars for your next delicious adventure.
Welcome back to Focus on Abilities. We're here today with Meridith Silcox, the chairperson of the Houston Commission on Disabilities. Meridith, we were talking a little bit about your child and school. What advice do you have to give parents and family members who have kids with disabilities in school that may not be doing well as you would have expected, simply because they can't relate to the school authority, the administration, the rules, and so on? What would you advise a parent?
I think it's important for parents to remember that they are the expert on their child. So when they go into those meetings, to feel confident in asking for what their child needs, and asking for accommodations, or what they think would be best, or what they know works best for their child in the home setting. So I think it's okay for them to remember that they're the expert, and to go to the table as the expert on their child.
So in your experience, do all parents actually get engaged in the ARD process, or do some of them miss out on that opportunity?
I think for sure parents miss out on the opportunity for a number of reasons. Sometimes it's not always understood that the ARD Commission needs to schedule the appointments when it's convenient for the parent to meet. So all parents cannot always meet at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday, right? And it's okay for the parent to say, I can't get off work, or I'm not able to attend, and I need to schedule a time that I can attend. That's your first advocacy, is I need to schedule a time where I can participate.
So the important thing to remember for parents and guardians, those who are looking after kids in school, is that you should engage in the ARD process. And what does ARD stand for?
Oh my gosh.
I don't know either. But it's always called the ARD, right?
Right, acceptance, review, and dismissal process.
Okay.
So it's the from the initial testing to the review, and then if the child is dismissed from special education services, most will graduate within the
So all
process.
those kids should have a plan.
Yes.
And the plan is essentially a product of this ARD committee.
Right.
And the committee meets and should do so when the parents are available.
Correct.
So parents need to be active advocates in this process, not assuming that the educators who are well educated, and not assuming that they are as expert with that child as the parent is.
Correct.
And that, so the benefit of the ARDs are that parents work together with the educational experts to make a plan that works for the child.
Absolutely. It's an individualized education plan or program for the child, and keeping in mind that program is specific for this child, and no better person to report on what would be great for the child.
So we have all this word spaghetti. ARD, first of all, admission, review, and dismissal, and the IEP, which is the individualized educational plan.
Plan/program. We're working on changing that language.
Okay. Very good. So that I'm glad we can share that information. Now, in your other advice you want to give parents?
Stay engaged, celebrate their successes, continue to advocate, stay close with the school, be a team member for the school. The school wants to work with you. We want to be a part of a team to engage to support the child in what they need. And the sooner you can collaborate as a team versus, we don't want to be against anyone. We want to collaborate as a team.
Now, I think some parents might be anxious, and can they take somebody with them? An attorney, an advisor, another parent, or whom?
They can engage an advocate. They can talk to other parents. They can bring an attorney. Typically, if they're going to bring an attorney, the school wants to know in advance, because they're going to want their own representation at the table as well. But they can invite anyone they would like. I've had meetings where my daughter's social worker was present, her pediatrician was present, her nurse from her pediatrician's office was present. You can invite whoever you would like, whoever you think brings value to the committee.
All right. So you've had a generally good experience with this process.
I have had a uniquely fantastic experience with this process.
That's good to know. All right, Meredith, now with the Commission on Disabilities, how many members?
We have 14 members, 14 seats, 12 members. We are recruiting for the other 2 members.
good.
We have 14 seats, 12 members.
And those roles are all filled by people in the community who either have a disability or who work as advocates for people with disabilities.
Correct.
And the appointments are made by the mayor
Yes, sir.
and confirmed by city council.
Yes.
So these are significant jobs that our city has that are intended to help provide guidance for the city as it relates to the needs of people with disabilities and policies that the city has that relates to those needs.
Yes, absolutely.
What are the kinds of policies that the commission has looked at since you've been involved?
Well, I've only recently become the chair, so I've only been in the chair position for a few months. We haven't seen anything come through yet. And then, of course, everything being a little slow through the pandemic.
But in the past, as I recall, the commission's been asked to review rules that relate to employment of people with disabilities in city positions. I think the commission was involved in setting up what we called back then the handicap parking program, where people with disabilities could actually work as enforcers for the disabled parking slots. And now I think in the future the commission must be involved in fixing some of the inaccessible sidewalks around our community. Are there things that are on the drawing board that have been brought to your attention at this point? Commission on Disabilities related to the Multi-Service Center on Disability. It's got to be one of the major challenges.
Right, so having conversations about what's coming next and kind of what the city is planning or what they're thinking about what's coming next as far as the updates to the Multi-Service Center, which are very much needed. The building needs a lot of service and support to become even more accessible to serve the population.
Yeah. So that's the kind of thing the commission would do then.
Right.
Take a major challenge like that and reach out to engage the community.
Correct. So we're working on that issue. We've also had conversations around emergency management and planning for our city and what we're doing to keep the disability community engaged and how we're providing services during emergencies.
That's a good point. I'm aware that the Office of Emergency Management is updating, redoing, making the plan for how they address people with disabilities in a disaster. And that plan is in the infancy or at least the growing process now. The commission's been asked to review that.
Right, and we've been asked to give our feedback after emergencies, so we've given our feedback after the freeze. When was that? In 22? 21, 22. Also giving our feedback after the most recent flooding events, so always giving our feedback on what the city did, what we could have done differently, what was the fallout after, what we did well, what we could improve on.
But the commission can also hold hearings and bring ordinary folks with disabilities who are interested in these topics to come and speak about those issues.
Yes, absolutely.
And I guess you're planning one such hearing for the next few months that would address the Multi-Service Center reinvention.
Absolutely. We're very interested in hearing from the community members on their thoughts around these issues and what their ideas and concerns would be about these issues, and are planning a meeting soon to bring in city representatives and the community together to start those conversations. That information will be going out soon. We'll be putting out some information.
If people have questions, where is there a number they can call?
Right. They can go to Houston Commission on Disabilities, or they can go to the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities website. There's a website or an email address there where they can email us information, questions, get information. They can also see when our next commission meetings are. They can register for those meetings. They can register for public comment at those meetings. So if there's any concerns about these issues, other issues directly related to them or in the community, they can bring those forward in our commission meetings.
How often does the commission meet?
We meet monthly on the second Thursday of every month from 4 to 6 p.m. at the moment.
And as I understand, the commission has not been meeting during COVID.
We've been meeting via Zoom.
Okay.
So we've been meeting online, virtual meetings. Those will be, we're looking at hybrid options so that we can bring folks back together
that's
in
even
person
better.
again, and continuing. I think it's important that we continue to provide online or virtual options for folks who can't get there.
Well, that's one of the changes that have occurred since COVID, and that is we've learned to use the medium better. And I want to talk about that some more, but I want to take a break right now. Let folks at home get a drink of cold water and come back. Meridith will be right back.
Excellent.
And fans of Focus, we'll be right back with more Focus on Abilities. Thanks for watching.
Lots of people with completely different backgrounds coming together for a greater goal kind of represents Houston as a whole.
And everybody has a different style, but somehow that's kind of our thing.
These different patches of people and cultures.
They bring something new to the table that influences a lot of what we do.
We embrace the future, we learn, we grow, we evolve, and work as one to build a better future here in Houston.
Throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, Metro has been there for you, getting medical center employees and other essential workers to their jobs during lockdown. We're also improving your customer experience, from more frequent cleanings to security monitors on vehicles. We've launched free Wi-Fi and installed over 3,000 new accessible bus stops, all to make your ride better. Visit ridemetro.org to learn how you can drive less and do more.
Grease and wipes clog pipes. In fact, clogs from these items are the main cause of sewer overflows in Houston. Our pipes are designed to transport water, pee, poo, toilet paper, and soap. Here are a few items to keep out of toilets and drains. In the kitchen, put grease in its place. The trash. Simply pour it into a heat-resistant container. Cool it, then toss it in the trash. This includes food items such as meat fats, butter and cream, oils, and even dough and batter. All food scraps should be tossed in the trash. In the restroom, only flush the 3 P's: pee, poo, and toilet paper. Together, we can protect our pipes from clogs and overflows. Learn more at protectourpipes.org.
You are watching Focus on Abilities on HTV. I'm Lex Frieden. We're here today with Meridith Silcox. Meridith, in your role as chairperson of the Houston Commission on Disabilities, you may have some challenges going forward. Do you feel like you're up to the challenge?
I feel like I'm always up to a good challenge. I understand advocacy. I've been doing it for a very long time, and I understand that it's having the right conversations and getting the right information to the right people, and knowing who to reach out to and having the right people at the table.
So I presume that you welcome input from people who may be watching the show who have want to express frustration or concerns about certain city policies or programs, that might want to get involved and testify at a commission meeting, people who have ideas for making things better for all of us, people who are willing to work on projects, and maybe even people who want to serve on the commission, right?
Absolutely. We want your emails, we want information, we want you to show up for public comment at our meetings. It's always welcome. We want to hear your concerns. That's what we're here for, to be kind of that filter, to hear those concerns and bring those concerns to the mayor's office and to the council to make sure that we're getting those addressed.
Yeah, I think that's one of the coolest things about the commission, is that you have the ability to, on behalf of the city, reach out to the disability community and say, what can we as a community do better to improve the lives of people with disabilities and the quality of life of people with disabilities, their families and friends as well. And you don't have any limits on the issues or the breadth of the issues that you address. That's amazing.
Right, it's really amazing, and we want the city of Houston to be that beacon, to be that city that's that shining star of a place for people with disability and accessibility, and we can't do that without hearing from the folks in the community on what we need.
And we know that because Houston has so many immigrants, people who've lived in other cities, they may have good ideas from things they've learned in other places they've lived too, right?
Absolutely.
That is that's one of the advantages of our great diverse city. And I think that also is characterized by the mayor's approach and by the city council, by the county's approach to people with disabilities, is that we are not simply another interest group, but we are in fact a significant portion of the community. And we represent not only ourselves, but maybe as many as 750,000 other people with disabilities in this city. And if you consider the number of aging adults in Houston, we're talking about more than 1 million people who are affected by the rules and policies and programs the city has. We want them all to be fully accessible, and we want to be full participants.
Absolutely.
So, Meridith, in closing, are there other ideas that you're working on yourself, other things that you've heard from folks, other plans or suggestions you want to make?
I think there are a number of projects that are being worked on right now, and keeping those focused and continuing to have our voices amplified and to be heard. They don't have to be issues specific to disability, right? It's everything in this city. We want to be a part of the conversation. We want to have our voices amplified.
That's a great point. Great point. So if people are interested, they can be online to the Houston Commission on Disabilities, Mayor's Office on People with Disabilities. They can write, send email, call, whatever. And most of all, get involved, attend a meeting and play a role. So information, announcements will be on those websites.
Correct. Information about our next meeting, old meeting notes, approved meeting notes, agendas will all be posted on the website.
You have a mailing list?
I do believe we have a mailing list. Folks can sign up for our mailing
maybe
list.
Want to set that up so that people can get on a list by sending information to the website. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. Meridith, we told people we'd let them know what we thought, which piece of legislation had the greatest impact on kids with disabilities in school. And it's probably, I would say, if I'm guessing what your answer is, it's probably the piece of legislation that's had the greatest impact on the community, on the country, on everybody, and frankly on the world, right?
I completely agree. The ADA has been just the foundation for making sure that our kids can get access, both in the education system, but outside of that, in recreation, in camps, and sports, and every activity that a kid should be.
Beautiful. Thanks for being our guest today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you all for watching Focus on Abilities. Celebrate ADA, celebrate disability, watch Focus on Abilities. Please tune in next time. I'm Lex Frieden, your host. Have a wonderful day.